In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 key questions that led to an inflection point in my career that changed everything for me. In fact, being able to properly answer these 5 questions gave me enough clarity and certainty to make one decision that allowed me to go from working in the kitchen 9 hours a day, feeling miserable about my life, to making a full-time income online above 5 figures per month consistently. So let's get into it. Now, before we get started, I want to preface this by saying that these are not 5 questions that I just found in a book and one day I decided to answer these 5 questions. These were key questions that I needed to find the clarity throughout my career. So these questions happen in a specific moment in my career, and the last one made all the pieces of the puzzle come together and led to this inflection moment. So I wanted to share these questions with you so you don't have to take 2 years to come up with that clarity, okay? So let's start with the first question. Is your container big enough to support the content? Let me explain. When I got started in my career, my goal was I want to become a millionaire. I am going to become a millionaire. What is the best way to become a millionaire? Let me just research. Millionaires, they made their fortune having a business. Okay, so I need to build a business. I need to go, I need to learn how to build a business. I build a business, I become a millionaire. That was like the simple equation. So I embarked in a journey to finding and trying to apply different business model to build a business. That's how you become millionaire. That's how you become wealthy, right? I tried for 2 years to build a business from total scratch, okay? And I wanted to build a 1 to 5 million a year business. What happened is that I just kept banging my head against the wall. Nothing was working. And one of the biggest things that I come up with is this question. It was like, I realized, I got to this moment where, okay, I'm trying to just build this massive thing, but I don't have the capital, I don't have the experience, I don't have the team, I don't have the network, I don't have the positioning in the market. I'm starting from scratch. And that's when it hit me. I'm trying to feed 1,000 liters of water in a cup of wine or in a cup of tea. Like, my container is so small, it cannot receive. I cannot feed all that amount of success, all that amount of water, so to say. So I need a bigger container, which I don't have right now, or I need to aim for less water. And that was the inflection moment. Okay. In order for me to receive the amount of success that I envision, I need to have the container to be able to handle that. Otherwise, it's going to be overflow. I'm not going to be able to manage that amount of success. So the container goes first and then the content. That was one of the key questions. So I go, okay, I cannot aim for a $1 million business starting from scratch. Like, it's too much water, so to say. I need to aim for a goal that is already in my reach. My container can fit that in, or the goal is here and I can expand my container to be able to reach that goal. But I cannot have this level of container and aim for this level of goal. The water is going to overflow. So then it hit me. I went, okay, so instead of trying to build from scratch a $1 to $5 million business per year, how about we just go and say, hey, how can I make $10,000 per month consistently so that I can leave my job? Because if I can make $10,000 per month consistently and work remote and have something that is entrepreneurial, from there, it's going to be way smoother and way more enjoyable to build a business. And that was the first point of clarity that I needed out of those 5 to be able, that led to that key decision in my career. Now let's go into question number 2. Question number 2 is, am I trying to build momentum or to kill it? Because we all know that success is built upon momentum. You need to generate enough inertia when then success becomes inevitable. So one of the key cornerstones, one of the key pillars for success is your ability not only to build momentum, build inertia, but to maintain it. So everything that kills momentum is detrimental, is going to hinder your success. If you build momentum, you build inertia, and then you do something or you allow something to kill that momentum, you just go back to square one. You build momentum again, go back to square one, and then you never can take off. That was one of the biggest questions for me. Am I trying to build momentum or to kill it? One of the things that kills momentum is to jump into one thing to another, because then you can never build anything consistent. But another one, and this is the key one, this is the clarity point number 2 from this question, was this simple word: complexity. Complexity kills momentum. Complexity is what doesn't allow people to take off, is what just kills people business, people dreams, people businesses, people progress. I started to shift towards simplicity. All right. Now with clarity point number 1, I needed to go for something that I can fit into my container. Now, what that is going to be, I know it has to be something simple, because simple scales and fancy fails. All right. Complex fails. So instead of just trying to build something cool, something fancy, something complex, I started to focus on simple business models, because I know if it was simple, it didn't have a lot of complexity, I could keep going with that. I could continue to build momentum. Okay, so that was clarity point number 2. Am I trying to build momentum or to kill momentum? But because momentum is a requirement for success. And the first thing that I need to avoid at all costs is complexity, because complexity is not going to help me. Those 2 clarity points led me to a moment, started to give me some hints on what was the best model for me. Because one of the things that I realized was all these people that are wealthy, all these people that are living the dream and achieving their goals, yes, they have businesses, but before the business, they needed to develop themselves and they needed to gain specific key skills. That was one of the hints. Okay, so I need to start focusing on developing myself, developing skills, so then I can run a successful business. Okay, specifically high income skills that are adapted to this new economy. But that is the thing. We live in a fast-paced world. Everything is evolving so quickly. That led me to the third question and to the third clarity point, which is changing or everlasting business models. At this point, especially after the virus that shut down the world, everybody knows that the world is turning digital. The world's transitioning into digital. We've learned the lesson. So all businesses are going digital. So I knew I needed to develop and find something that has to do with new skills in the new digital world. But that's the thing. The digital world is always changing. There's always new things. If it's not IG, it's TikTok. If it's not long form, now it's short form. So I was thinking, that was like a question that was in my mind. How can I just get into the market? How can I develop myself and build an income online with something that I know is going to be everlasting, that is not going to be subject to constant change? And that was my clarity point number 3. If I wanted to build a business online or build an income online, I needed to find something that, regardless what happens in the market, in the economy, or in the digital revolution, that was still going to be a necessity. That was the key. What is going to be a necessity? What people or businesses are going to need no matter what. And in fact, if you want to go one level deeper, if I wanted to do even a smarter move, I thought, what's going to be especially necessary when the world shut down? What's going to be especially necessary when we get in crisis? What are some of the key things that are always going to be needed, especially in difficult times? Because I know if I can build an income online that is going to be able to produce, even in those moments, I'm going to be good. And that get me closer to that inflection moment, because now I started to realize that, okay, I need to focus on skills of the new economy, high income skills, but not any high income skill or not any skill, because I started to see that there are specific skills, that is what I call the king and queen or the premium skills, that are especially going to be necessary if there's a market crash, economy downfall, or if the entire world shuts down. And that's where I discovered what I call the king and queen of high income skills, which is marketing and sales. Because if you think about it, especially when the world crashes, businesses are going to still need, and they're going to need even more and better marketing and sales. That's never going to go away. Businesses will always need marketing and sales. And that's why I started to go narrow and narrow. Actually, when I started doing my research, I realized that yes, sales is the king of high income skills, but marketing is the queen. Okay, marketing is very important. Now, the caveat or the thing with marketing, when I was doing my research, is that marketing is always changing, because these digital platforms are always constantly in change. Before it was IG, now it's TikTok. So there's always a lot of change in the marketing world, even though it's necessary specifically because of that, but it's a very changing area. And I was looking for something that was always the same, that didn't require all these heavy changes. And when I look at sales, is human psychology. It doesn't matter the platform, it doesn't matter the media, people interacting with people. And sales, as long as it's people interacting with people, it's always going to function under the exact same fundamentals. And that's what I decided to put my focus on sales, because sales and the principles of communication, leadership, persuasion, influence are always going to be the same, because we're always going to be interacting between each other. But marketing has more to do with the interaction between humans and the technology. And that's why I shift my focus into sales. And now we're getting one step closer to that inflection moment that lead us to our next question. Question number 4 is, am I going for the path of most resistance, or am I going for the path of least resistance? What I mean by this is that oftentimes we get so caught up in the day-to-day, or the opposite, we get so caught up into the mega macro vision, and that clouds our vision and our decision making. And a lot of times we are actually, without not realizing it, we're choosing unconsciously for the path of most resistance, making our life way harder way difficult. I'm not saying that success is easy. It requires effort, but it's all about calculating those difficulties. I'm not wanting to communicate a message of you should look for the easy thing. Remember, the key to success is knowing how to build momentum and know how to keep that momentum going. And we already talked about complexity, but another thing is wanting to go for the hardest thing possible. I'm not saying that you should focus on the easiest things possible because success requires effort, but it's all about picking calculated difficulties that you know are attainable, are achievable. It's pretty much like progressive overload when you go to the gym. You don't go and you just pick the highest weight and you start trying to lift like the biggest and the hardest one. No, you start with something that is attainable. You start just weights that you know you can lift. And then you start adding more weight. Here is the same. There is a journey, which is what I call the evolution of an online entrepreneur, and it has specific steps. And if you try to skip a step or you try to just go all steps, all the elements at once, that is a very hard task. In fact, what it really helped me is this concept of progressive overload and this concept of path of least resistance. Let me just focus, this is the word, focus. Let me just focus on one thing at a time so that I don't get overwhelmed. It is not like humongously difficult mission. It's not an impossible mission. It's very attainable because number one, it's simple, but also it's not mega hard. It's hard, don't get me wrong. Like success, like you need to put in the effort, but it's a calculated difficulty. So what is that evolution of an online or digital entrepreneur? It starts with skills, that leads to experience and network, that leads to opportunities and more access to capital, so more business opportunities, and that eventually leads to your own business. So that is the evolution. So instead of focusing on all these elements all at once, focus on the first one. Focus on developing your skills, mastering your craft, building your name in that particular niche, in that particular circle, because that will lead you into the next stage and so on and so forth. And this is how you expand your container, what we covered in the first question. And now with these 4 clarity points that we've covered, now we get into the 5th question, question number 5, which is, okay, these are the elements that I need to be able to actually build a full-time income online, more than $10,000 per month consistently online so that I can leave my 9 to 5. Now, the question is, what do I need? What is going to be that vehicle that have all of these ingredients so that I can ensure I'm going to create momentum, I'm going to keep it, and I'm going to be able to achieve my goals? And the answer is, you just need one high income skill. So it's either going to be the king or the queen of the fundamental entrepreneurial skills. I just need to master one, and that will be the launch pad. That will be the trampoline that will get me from where I am, working in the kitchen 9 hours a day, to go to that next level, being able to establish myself online, build an income online, and then go from there and continue the business journey. And because my personality, what I was really passionate about, which is communication, influence, leadership, and all these clarity points, that's why I chose remote high ticket closing. What this business model entails is all about, number one, communication, and number two, you doing the sales on behalf of a high ticket company online, where basically you hop on Zoom calls and you speak with people, potential clients, you enroll the right clients, you find the good fits, and you enroll the right clients, and you get paid a commission for doing so. All right. So people book meetings into your calendar. You're doing sales in behalf of this high ticket company because business owners and the founders are busy running the business, taking care of the clients, and they need high ticket remote closers. They need setters. They need a sales team that can help them grow the business. And by the way, you don't need to start with remote closing. You can start as a DM setter or as an SDR and eventually find your way until you get into this remote closing role. And that's how you can establish an income online by, number one, mastering this high income skill. You don't need to build your own business. You already hop on a wave that is already moving, already a successful business. You partner up with them and you do the sales on their behalf, or you do their bookings on their behalf. And that way, number one, you are learning and mastering this very valuable high income skill. You're making good money online, remote. But most importantly, there are a couple of things that I realized that was like super clear for me, which is you literally get paid as a remote closer to learn from a 6-7 figure company how an online company, high ticket company is being built. You are inside of that company. You're seeing everything from the inside, the structure, the skeleton. You're working there. You've partnered up to do the sales on their behalf. But on top of that, you're learning from their marketing, from their processes, from how they take care of the clients. Because again, you're working with an already successful business. So you're literally getting paid to learn and to experience real world digital businesses, how they operate, how they run, which was fascinating to me. And the beauty of this is that you don't need to do this forever if you don't want to. If you love love communication and you love remote closing, of course, 100%. But a lot of people that right now are wealthy and they have their own business, they got started either in a career or marketing or in direct sales. Like literally, that you can do the research. The most important thing is that you can just focus 1 to 3 years in developing yourself and building yourself up, your skills, your expertise, your network, opportunities. 1 to 3 years is more than enough. Like you don't need to be like doing this forever. And that can create the container. That creates the leverage so that when you go and you launch your business, all of a sudden you are an overnight success, but you've been building this master plan. You've been building and preparing yourself for that very moment. Because if you look at that, people that are successful, apparently they would just went successful overnight, or they launched business and in 2 or 3 months, they blew up. Look what they did 2 to 3 years before of that, how they were building themselves. And that's what you will find. A lot of them, the majority of them, took this path of least resistance of focusing in one skill, and that made everything smoother for them. So that was my inflection moment. Those are the clarity points. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. Whatever you decide to do, focus on one high income skill. If you want to become an entrepreneur eventually, make sure it's one of these essential skills. And I promise you, it will be way smoother and way more enjoyable, because I spent 2 years just banging my head against the wall, feeling miserable and having this is hard, this is difficult, nothing is really ticking, until I realized this. So hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know down in the comments. Also, if you want to know more about remote closing, if you check in the description box, you have more information about that. And I will see you in the next one.